all you know about oil, its scarcity, its origins, and even its name, is a lie? Before this, you might not even have a grip on this information, isn't that right? A deception so elaborate, so meticulously deceptive, that it has controlled global economies for over a century? In 1892, at the Geneva Congress, John D. Rockefeller, the oil tycoon behind Standard Oil, allegedly paid scientists to classify oil as a fossil fuel. Why? Just to create an illusion. But here's the twist. What if oil isn't the finite resource as we've been told it is? And what if this entire charade has been upheld by governments, corporations, and even scientists to keep you paying more for something that's as abundant as water? The evidence is shocking, the implications are massive, and the truth buried deep beneath layers of deception. Get ready to uncover one of the biggest scams in history, a scheme that has shaped global energy policies, sparked wars, and determined the fate of entire nations. Let's dive in. Do you really believe what you know about history? The gasoline in your car, the fuel that powers entire nations, has been carefully fabricated to create an illusion. A scam so deeply embedded in history, so intricately woven into our collective consciousness, that few have dared to question it. Because in 1892, at the Geneva Congress, the world's leading chemists gathered to refine the nomenclature of organic compounds. But behind the scenes, something far more darker was at play. The oil king himself, John D. Rockefeller, allegedly paid these scientists to label his empire's product as a fossil fuel. Why? Because if people believed oil came from the remains of ancient dinosaurs, if they believed it was scarce, they would accept skyrocketing prices without question. They would believe that one man, one company, held the keys to the world's energy supply. And they did, but here's the catch. What if oil isn't actually a finite resource? What if it regenerates beneath the Earth's surface faster than we can deplete it? This is the abiogenic oil theory, the idea that oil is not the result of ancient organic material, but rather a naturally occurring, self-replenishing substance formed deep within the Earth's mantle. And yet the world's most powerful entities, the Rockefellers, the oil cartels, even governments, have spent over a century suppressing this truth. Because if oil was infinite, if it wasn't scarce, how could they justify wars over oil fields? How could they control economies, collapse markets, and manipulate global energy prices? And now, the biggest irony of all? The Rockefeller Foundation, once built on oil wealth, is now funding climate change solutions, publicly denouncing the very industry that made them kings. Why? Because the game has changed, and the same hands that once controlled oil now seek to control the green revolution. So the question is, have you been lied to? And more importantly, are you still willing to pay for the lie? Think about it. Rockefeller Foundation, a legacy of deception. John D. Rockefeller, a name that echoes through the corridors of history. A name that built an empire so powerful it controlled 90% of America's oil production. But here's what they won't tell you. In 1911, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that Standard Oil was too powerful, an illegal monopoly. The company was broken into pieces, or so they wanted you to believe. Because decades later, those fragments, they reassembled. Exxon, Mobil, Chevron, BP, all of them, branches of the same twisted tree. The Rockefeller Foundation, once fueled by oil wealth, is now funneling billions into climate solutions. Why? because the game has shifted. They say it's about responsibility, about correcting past mistakes. But what if it's about something else entirely? Because here's the real twist. The Rockefeller family fund, the same dynasty built on oil, exposed Exxon Mobil for hiding research on climate change. They knew about greenhouse gases, about global warming, and they hid it. Why? Because chaos keeps the industry alive. And now, the Rockefellers are leading the charge against their own empire. But does that make them heroes? Or are they simply rebranding their influence? Because whether it's oil or solar, coal or wind, one thing remains unchanged. Power stays in the same hands. They told you oil was scarce. Now they tell you fossil fuels are destroying the planet. And yet, who profits from the transition? The names change, the story shifts, but the system remains the same. So tell me, are we really moving toward a cleaner future? Or is this just the next chapter in the greatest energy deception of all time? They told us fossil fuels were the enemy, but who really profits from their destruction? They promised us a cleaner future, but have you noticed how the price of green energy keeps rising? They convinced us we were running out of oil, yet the same corporations that sold us gasoline are now selling us lithium, solar, and wind. So ask yourself, is this about saving the Earth, or is it about controlling its resources? Because history shows us one undeniable truth. Power doesn't disappear. It just changes its disguise. Our planet is not just a commodity. It is not a marketplace for the elite to exploit. It is a living, breathing entity, one we've been programmed to believe we are powerless to protect. But what if we weren't? What if the greatest deception of all was making us believe we had no choice? Subscribe now, because the truth is never what it seems.